two timelines. If you've heard that before, then you've probably been a Warriors fan for the last few years. And what that means is Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner, he thinks that you can contend and at the same time build for the future. And it's kind of this no loss situation where he believes that you can still be a top team, but also not sacrifice your draft capital and your young players at the expense of your current roster. But obviously, this is a very stupid idea in my opinion because A, you can't commit to either timeline, and B, you see what happens to the Warriors. Like they're stuck in no man's land because they're not good enough, they're not bad enough for a draft pick, and that's where they've been these last few years. Um, and so today, the Warriors officially traded Jonathan Kuminga for Kristaps Porzingis. And if you look at this pick or this trade in complete isolation, right, it's not half bad. Like you think about it, Kristaps is a decent player when he's on the court, and if he's not on the court, at the very least, it's an expiring contract. And if you think about it, right, Kuminga wasn't even playing for us, so like, if you really get a player from nothing. But if you're not looking at this move in complete isolation, like it sounds pretty stupid because we've been trying to trade Kuminga for a while now, and there's been better trades that we opted not to do. And when you consider the luck that the Warriors had with drafting number 7 Kuminga, number 14 Moses Moody, and number 2 James Wiseman, right? We've had so many great lottery picks, and none of them have like turned into anything. And I don't really blame that on those players specifically, right? Like Kuminga and Wiseman, they were both super raw prospects. But I think that blame has to go to the front office and especially the ownership because these are the kind of players you want to put on lottery tanking teams, somewhere where they have that chance to like grow and develop. And they weren't ready for the Warriors. The Warriors needed like ready players for their team, but we decided to draft these guys because of Joe Lacob. He really loved these guys. I mean, if you didn't know this, Steve Kerr himself he wanted Franz Wagner and Tyrese Halliburton. These are already both super great players, and they've been ready since day one. And I think the reason the Warriors dynasty starts falling, right, it's because of Lacob and his obsession with credit. Um, I mean, and anyone outside of the Warriors, they know like Steph Curry is like I wouldn't say the sole reason, but like he's the biggest reason to the success. But I think Joe Lacob wants to be like, hey, I'm a big part of this success too, and you know he isn't, right? I mean, he pays the bills obviously and stuff, but like he didn't draft these players that ended up being our big core players that like won the championship for us, right? He didn't make the trades for that. All that we can remember Joe Lacob's moves from is these draft picks that he made, where he chose these, terrible players for our team. And I mean, if you look at quotes from the past, right, you can see that Joe Lacob, after 2019 Raptors beat us, and Clay's Achilles and KD left, he was ready to throw in the towel, and that's kind of why he was like, okay, we need this two timelines plan, but that doesn't maximize the present at all. And he knew this was unpopular because obviously it is unpopular because it's stupid. And honestly, because we won in 2022, I think he feels vindicated for his plan. But the truth is, the teenagers that he drafted for this two timelines, they weren't really that helpful to winning. Like Kaminga and Moody, they were like the 10th and 12th man in the rotation. I mean, Jordan Poole was really good for that season, and he peaked at an insanely good time. But this wasn't part of the two timelines plan, right? Like Wiseman, Kaminga, Moody, the lottery picks that were supposed to be the next generation, they didn't really do anything for this run. And so when you think about this, right, you may also think, okay, Jordan Poole, right, Draymond Green is partly responsible for the downfall. And honestly, probably, yeah. But I don't think that Joe Lacob is the sole reason the Warriors dynasty like fell apart. Like it's a nuanced topic, but I think even though Draymond's antics were there and they've hurt us a bunch of times, right? Like when he scared away KD, punched Jordan Poole's, sorry, and obviously his like on-court behavior, like it definitely played a role in minimizing our championship window. But ultimately, like we still won with him, right? And he was still a big contributor to those wins. So I mean, I'm still gonna give most of that blame to Joe Lacob because of the two timelines idea. And if you think about it, right, our obsession with holding on to these young players for so long kind of screwed us in the foot. Like, if you remember, 2 years ago, there was like rumors for a Lowry Markkanen swap, um, but we didn't want to give up Kaminga and we didn't want to give up draft capital, right? And Draymond himself said like not to pull this trigger because they might get scammed by age, but like they didn't want to put all their chips on a player like Lowry. I think we also had a trade for like OG, which we didn't want to put Kaminga in that, right? And these are all players that would have been great for our current contention period. And so now we got to like this month, right? We were in huge talks with Giannis, right? And this is like the final time where you think, okay, the package is here, right? We're ready to give everything for Giannis. But in the end, Kaminga's value has tanked so much that they're not even interested in the package. Even with the 4 first-round picks, which, I mean, after Curry's gone, like, this team is completely cooked. And, we've made one move, like one really championship level move after the 2022 window, which is when we traded for Jimmy, but at the same time, we didn't fully commit to this timeline. And so Jimmy tears his ACL, right? And that's because he has to play a lot of front court minutes because, we don't have that many big men, and, we're playing Al Horford on every other back to back, right? And so when we lack this depth, I think that's the fault of the front office, and that's the fault of this two timelines plan. If we sold high on any of our young players years ago, we would have had a way better team right now, right? And I can say it, like I was a bit delusional that we would get Giannis, right? And people are still holding on to that hope that like, maybe in the offseason that trade is a segue to something bigger. But I don't think so. I think our contention period is over and I'm done coping. So thank you, Joe Lacob, for ruining my team. And thank you, Kaminga, for our two timelines plan that never worked out. Yep. Listen, I thought I was done with this video, but someone's eventually going to be like, oh, you think you're better than Joe Lacob. Why don't you just try and do it yourself, okay? And I was like, okay, sure. I'm going to try and go on 2K and see what I can cook, right? And I'm not even joking, bro. I spent 5 hours. Have a look at this, bro. I didn't even realize how bad it is. So, let's look at our financials, right? Where do I check this? Trades, yeah. Oh, wait, I can't even do it here because, oh, here. Contracts, okay? Look at this. Look. We got, okay. My understanding is that they do not want to trade Jimmy Butler, right? They want to compete with Steph Curry and Jimmy, right? Okay, whatever, sure, right? But this Porzingis contract that we just traded for, right? It's expiring, okay? Right? So, I mean, there's no way he's getting paid 30 million from us, right? Maybe he gets a team-friendly deal, right? And then what, right? Look at what we have, bro. Even Draymond Green, right? He has a player option. He'll probably take that player option because he's not getting that money, right? And then what? Like, what can we do with this? Like, here, anyone watching this video, bro, this is the Joe Lacob challenge for you. Start with the current start date, with injuries on, and try to win a championship with both Jimmy and Steph Curry on this team, bro. It's impossible. I'm telling you. And that's literally what we're trying to do in real life, all right? It's over, man. We gotta let it go. It's done.